Yeah,
You post it on there.
It out.
It's a live broadcast. I'll start the audio in a second.
What's going on, YouTube? We're live. This is our normal live podcast stream recording, and it takes us a second to get everything ready. Buddy's gonna pull up the deal and share it to Death Metal Dick's Facebook page, so you can watch the live stream as you choose there. We got a takes us a second to get part 2. Okay, cool. There was an echo, and then oh, it's Buddy. So there was a. This is gonna be part 2 of our series of Norwegian black metal, the beginnings, how all the church burnings happened, how the murders happened. This is the episode where everything comes together. You know, the first episode we did, we kind of introduced all the main players to you a little bit. This episode, we're going to do basically Varg's whole situation a little bit. I mean, we talked about kind of his early life. We'll touch on a couple more things that we might have missed. And then we're also going to go over what happened with Varg in prison. We're going to go over kind of things that basically influenced Varg to be the type of person that he was. And just give you a clear picture of who you're dealing with, because really, Varg is the driving force behind all the mayhem here. All the crazy shit really got brought out by Varg. You know, up until that point, it was a bunch of patty cake. And we talked about that last time, of course. But I just want to really go over his role in it. I want to go over the church burnings that he was involved in. You know, there was over 40 church burnings. I think Varg was tied to like 10 of them that he did himself. And you can tell, like, when he was in prison, they still kept going on. And these are all, you know, the whole series is just this, you know, at the root element, you can see a dangerous cult mentality here. With anything like this, where you have a big group of people and they're all thinking about the same shit, especially when it's like a desperate feeling sort of thing, you know what I'm saying? And they just get the same hive mind, and somebody activates that, it's all downhill. So the church burnings that kept going on, I mean, it was just kids trying to impress Euronymous and Varg. And we're going to, of course, break that down. I just try to talk the whole time we're doing the YouTube deal. So yeah, that'll tease you if you just started watching YouTube. Stick around, because we're going to record our full podcast, and that's what we're talking about today. We're going to do a little longer intro than normal. I'm going to put that live on Facebook, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. You ready to record, Mark?
Yep.
All right, let's go. Oh my God! Welcome to another edition of Death Metal Dicks. Once again, Into the Void with Christopher Pierce
And Buddy Lloyd.
All right, first thing I want to touch on up top. This was really bothering Buddy, and me too. I fucked up last time, Buddy.
Did you?
Yeah, I said that Dead sang on Death Crush. Well, I said I was 98% sure. You were right.
All right, sweet.
It was Maniac.
I wasn't sure, but I was almost positive.
Man, they had such like a weird compile of, like, I've even watched the Once Upon a Time in Norway, and they just had so much shit going on with so many different members right up top. It's hard to keep it all in order. What's the album Dead's on? Live in what?
Live in Leipzig.
Live in Leipzig, and he sounds similar to Maniac too.
Yeah,
it's not like it's far. It's not like it's a far stretch.
That's my favorite. Like, Live in Leipzig is, to me, it's
awesome.
It's great.
That
man.
version of Cold Moon. What moon?
Freezing Moon.
Freezing Moon. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
When it's cold, when it's dark, freezing mood,
Oh yeah, that's fucking awesome. Oh man,
You gotta
let the moon obsess you.
what a fucking week, man. Boy, where to start, buddy? First of all, I plugged that Kyle Kinane show on here relentlessly, and I really feel like, because of you guys that have been listening to this, that's the biggest show that I've been a part of in town. So I can't. I know when I got brought on stage, buddy, I know he had to work, and Mark hosted the show and brought us up. And when he said Death Metal Dicks, dude, it was like, rah!
Yeah.
And that was a good feeling, man. So I think a lot of people have been watching what we're doing and came out to support. So that was awesome. You know, we sold the show out. Kyle Kinane was awesome. Our producer Mark did an awesome set. It ruled. It really couldn't have gotten better from like a comedy in a small town standpoint. You know?
I appreciate everybody that supported you. I wish I could have been there, man. I really do.
Got to make money, man.
Yep.
We're going to talk about making money right now. So last week, obviously, we recorded episode 1, which was our introduction to Norwegian black metal. We went, if you didn't listen, you got to go back and hear it to know who we're talking about today. So what we did is we introduced all the main players that were hanging out at Helvet in Oslo, Norway. We talked about the first bands. We talked about them being influenced by Hellhammer, which turned into Celtic Frost. We talked about Bathory, Venom, and we talked about these guys meeting each other and starting to play music and then going down the road that led to where we're going to be at today, which is all the insane crimes that they committed, and we ended on a murder. Over the last week before that show, I was stressing out. If you don't know me and you're just listening to the podcast, I do a lot of stand-up comedy. I live in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I've started doing comedy in Little Rock, Arkansas. And if I do a show close to home, that's like the best jumping off point. But it's few and far between. It's got to be somebody like Kyle Kinane coming through or something that makes sense for me to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm not out there a lot. And a lot of the reason that I like, first of all, I don't really have to do it anymore, which is a blessing, but from Satan. But a lot of the reason I don't go around Little Rock and like hang out with those guys and support that scene is because there's a pedophile that is within the comedy scene here. And about a year and a half ago, I took a lot of heat, which seems insane. And I'm sure anyone listening is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I took a lot of heat from like the local comics that are, I would say, like a smaller act than what I've got going on for myself, or I don't know how to describe it, but like I would say I'm doing quite a bit better than most of them. So I think it's like a back and forth type of beef thing anyway. But they all sided with this pedophile guy, which is like, I don't even know how to explain this to somebody. But anyway, that was a year and a half ago and so that had reared its head again in the form of some guy that's been trying to do stand-up comedy for like 20 years for whatever reason. I guess it was to try to fit in with like a group of young kids. Brought the whole thing back up out of nowhere and was like trying to vaguely attack me. And if you know me, I'm not going to put up with shit, because I don't have to. I stand on my own. People know who I am. I got good friends and I got people that follow me that are going to ride with me. And on top of that, what we're talking about here is defending a pedophile. This guy was defending a pedophile. So, it's not like a huge life event, but from like Wednesday through Friday, my social media was just bonkers. And I just had to, destroy this guy and all his goofy friends and like all my friends, which if you're listening, thank you so much. I mean, he made a funny post that was like, you don't have, like, he didn't look into me at all. Like, first he was threatening to fight me, which is hilarious.
Oh my God.
Which, again, if you're just tuning into this, like, I'm a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I fought mixed martial arts. I don't have a problem with a physical confrontation. I don't want to get in a fight ever, but it's like, you didn't even look into me enough to know that you shouldn't threaten to fight me, And then he started to say stuff like, you don't have a career, you just put on small local shows. And then on that, like right underneath that, 8 people that have been on Comedy Central got on that thread and were like, fuck you, Jason. Oh, whoops. Whatever. We're like, fuck you. And he just got crushed, He had to delete the whole thing and backpedal. But it was a pain in my ass, I mean, that's just extra time, extra energy. It's stressful. And so we do that, and then I do that show. So I'm like, now I'm done with negative stuff. I'm on a high. I'm having a good time. Kyle Kinane's one of my favorite comics. I got to see him. I recorded my set, and I got like audio of fucking Kyle Kinane laughing at my stupid jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm on cloud 9. I'm feeling great. And then people are.
You're like a heavy metal Chris Hansen.
Yeah, in a way. And then I'm like, people are telling me they like the podcast. I'm like checking the listens on how many listens our Black Metal podcast has. It's a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like we're growing in a way. I had done a podcast before, and it was like all time. And I had like one of the dudes from Paul Bearer on and shit. Like all time, I had like 300 or 400 downloads total, that was crazy to me. And I don't want to put a number and sound like I'm gloating, but we got like what I think is an incredible amount for the amount of time we've been doing it. And that's awesome. And I'm only saying that to say that I was on like a high place about our podcast. All right. So flash forward to Monday morning. Now, I just want to give a frame of reference of my life and what a normal day for me is like. All right. So I got 2 kids. I got a wife. I work a restaurant job. I make gelato, buddy. I make gelato.
Yeah.
And that's a craft. I would consider myself a chef. I work hard at it, and I do a good job at it, and I enjoy it, and it pays well. But to get to that job from the smaller town I live in Arkansas, Hot Springs, I have to drive an hour to get to Little Rock every day. I do that. Some days I go at 4:30 in the morning so I can get to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at 6 o'clock, and then I go to work after that. And then after I get done with work around 3:30, I drive back home, takes another hour, and then I hang out with my kids, get them to bed, and then I have like a small chunk of time. And what I do with that time is I research everything for our podcast since we started doing that. Sometimes, and I'll usually try to write jokes. I usually try to spend 20 minutes a day like writing on jokes. And so factor that in with podcasts. I mean, I'm not watching TV shows. I'm not doing regular free time shit. You know, I'm on the hard work notion. You know, this is important to me. Doing this podcast is important to me. So I work very hard on it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I put an average of 5 to 10 hours, depending on the topic of research for each one, because I'm doing like an hour a night. And then the day before, I'll spend a ton of time trying to make sure that it's tight. You know what I mean? I take it seriously. That's what I'm getting at. And I work hard. I got a job in Arkansas. I don't live in New York. I don't live in Los Angeles. I am a stand-up comedian, but I'm not living in a place where I can get paid money to go on stage every night to work on jokes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like you and I are dudes that just are able to pay our bills and get to point A to point B, you know, and that's pretty much what we got going on. You know, it's like you do your thing. I work with the youth, troubled youth, and have time with my family, and then, you know, we do this, and this is, you know, like our passion, you know, we love this shit.
Yeah, and then I work 2 jobs. I referee jiu-jitsu on weekends, usually like 2 weekends a month. So, and I try to book shows the other 2 weekends. So really what I'm getting at is I don't have a lot of time. And my time, to me, is valuable, and the most valuable thing for me to do is to make a great podcast, because not just for us, but for anyone listening, because what we do here at Death Metal Dicks is we take true crimes and supernatural things and cult stuff and basically anything that we would find interesting. And we were dorks growing up. I mean, we're into typical stuff that when you find heavy metal, you find death metal, you find black metal, you get into serial killers, you start learning about serial killers, you start watching gore videos online, you love horror movies, you love aliens, you love satanic shit, you love blasphemous shit. It's just a path that a lot of people follow and end up in a similar place. And this is who we make this podcast for. We want to have this type of community, and we also try to make it to where it's enjoyable for anyone who's not into those things.
Everybody's welcome.
I mean, it's a fun podcast. No matter what you're into, everyone likes hearing about true crime stuff, and we deliver it in a hilarious package. And I'm saying all that to say this, that on Monday morning, a bunch of my friends started telling me that another podcast is 100,000 times bigger than we are.
Yeah.
One of the biggest podcasts. Okay, so we recorded this on Tuesday, and we announced that we were going to do it on our last podcast, which would have been 2 weeks today, that we were going to do black metal. So fast forward to Monday, I made a black metal playlist.
Yeah.
And I put it on our page, and I sent it out to everybody explaining, hey, tomorrow you got to tune in to watch this black metal episode. We came in, we recorded it Tuesday. We do a live YouTube stream, hey guys, and then we put the Podbean out on Wednesday, and then I put it out on iTunes on Friday.
Yeah.
All right. And so I get to work Monday, and my friend tells me, and this podcast, by the way, is my favorite podcast by far.
Yeah, mine too. I listen to it religiously.
Nothing.
Man.
I don't think any podcast compares to it. Once I heard it, it ruined other podcasts for me. I've listened to every episode pretty much. You know, I sleep during podcasts a lot, fly on a plane, fall asleep, or like go to bed to it. So I'm not familiar with every single detail, but I feel like I've ran through all of them, especially the interesting ones. And it's on, if I would have never heard this podcast, I would have never had the idea to do this. So when we make a podcast, and believe we're going to have so much similar content to this, it's impossible for us not to cross paths.
Yeah.
And they've been around for, I think, like 5 years. And so we're going to be treading over territory that they've been down. And I go out of my way to make sure that I don't step on their toes. And I don't even feel like we're close to their toes.
Yeah.
But I want this, what I would like, I think the ideal thing for this podcast is like the black metal to their death metal.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have this hilarious, awesome podcast that a huge percentage of people like. Well, if you wanted to love that and maybe go a little bit more grim and mess with some guys that are only into metal and we're satanic too, like actual satanic, not LaVeyan satanic, but like really believe in the devil. I don't believe God created the devil. I believe the devil existed the same way God existed.
Yeah.
And I think that's within you, and everybody. But I only say that because these are where our similarities are at. And I think that if you like that, if I don't like to listen to other podcasts anymore besides that one really. So when there's not an episode to listen to, I'm like, man, I'm bored,
Yeah.
This is an excellent podcast to listen to in addition to that one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
All right. So that particular podcast, they did black metal, Norway black metal. They did an introduction, and what my friends were telling me is that it was super similar. Like I didn't get a chance to listen to it to start with. I was at work, and I'm blowing up, and everyone's like, our producer and a couple of other friends of mine that know stuff, like know podcasts, know our podcast and know their podcasts, are like, man, there's a lot of similarities here. And of course, right away, I'm like, well, I mean, this is an example of two beacons for Satan sending off satanic signals into the air and crossing paths.
Yep.
In no way could they have taken what we were doing and used it for themselves. I don't believe that. It's such a good podcast. In my heart, I feel like they would never take content intentionally from anyone. That said, I listened to the podcast. It's a good podcast. It follows the same trajectory, If you listen to us and you listen to them, really the only thing different about ours and theirs is that I think that Lords of Chaos is total bullshit.
It is total bullshit. I think it is a fact.
Nobody in black metal gets along with each other, especially that they've been around each other for years. They all talk so much shit about each other. They're all tired of each other, and all of them agree that Lords of Chaos is not what they told the guy, and that he took the story and embellished it to make money.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to convey is if you're listening to this podcast now because of that podcast, welcome. I think that you should dig into our episodes. I think if you like that, you'll love this. And all we're going to do from here on out is make awesome content. And again, what we do is we take that and we compare it to a death metal song. And that is our own genre that we've created to appeal to true crime fans, metal fans, and anyone else that is even remotely interested in that genre. We have a good time.
Yeah, we have a good time. We don't give a shit we don't want drama. We don't even want to be involved in it, dude.
No.
We're just here to have fun, man.
Right. And our producer, Mark, I got to give him a shout out because he saw the situation. He's making a podcast network right now. He's just starting out, and he is a business person. That's what he does for a living, and he's great at it.
He busts his fucking ass, man. He puts hard work into it, just like we do.
Yeah, and I really would have had no idea how to handle that situation. I mean, I probably would have tried to have gone through like some mutual comedians that I'm friends with and they're friends with and tried to like figure out anything we could do, to just even be on their radar. But man, Mark went after it. He got a hold of the guys, and they came to a compromise. I think they saw each other's point of view, and they're supposed to give us a good shout out on their podcast, which really would be incredible for us.
That'd be awesome.
And like I said, that's almost a dream come true for me because I love that podcast, and that would make me feel incredible. And if that brought you to this show, again, welcome. You're gonna like what we do, and that's all I want to say about it. I just want to make sure we're not in the shit. We're in no drama. Everything's out on the table. Hail Satan.
All the way.
And then we'll get on to some other shit that happened this week. Did you hear about that band Decapitated?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck? Decapitated is a Polish death metal band. I think they just rip off Meshuggah heavily. I mean, they just play.
Now.
They're like that. Yeah, I mean, they had rippers, but they had a turn for like the last 3 albums, I would say, where they just started doing that. It's like a math problem riff,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's not their shit. Get out of here. But they apparently, I don't know why I giggled when I said that. This shit's wild. So I guess they were in Seattle. And this is the most current thing that I read. Obviously, I don't want this to have happened.
I think it was Spokane, actually.
It's the same thing to me, buddy.
Okay, man.
Is it Washington?
It's Washington.
Is it Oregon? Something like that? They got rain and trees.
Is that where Bigfoot is?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's
Okay,
a
I
squash
got
up
you,
there
I
for
got
sure.
you, I
Okay,
got you.
so these motherfuckers, and I don't want this to be true from any side. I don't want any human being to have been violated in any way, and I don't want a death metal band to have this type of publicity, you know? So supposedly what I'm gathering from what I've read is that there was 2 girls and they were hammered and they wanted to go on the bus with Decapitated, which I'm first surprised Decapitated has a bus
Yeah.
and not a van. So I guess they go on the bus. One of the girls splits because she's uncomfortable. And then the girl so she's saying that she was kidnapped and gang raped. Like kidnapped in the sense that she wanted to leave, but they wouldn't let her. Then that's kidnapping. And then gang raped in the sense that she was either too inebriated and did not consent to sexual activity, which is terrible. If they did that, I mean, may they be punished within the full extent of the law. I hope they get kicked off their label, and I hope that I hope the band's done with. Dude, you kicked a cable or something.
Ooh.
Check. Oh man, Mark, can you hit the pause or some shit over there?
Hey. Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear shit, dude.
Fuck.
Here we go. Maybe it's just my headphones.
Okay. Yeah, it might be shortened.
Look at the time. Mark! It's 1937. 1937 seconds. All right. My you fucking kicked my cord.
That was my cord.
I don't know. It looks like we're still recording.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, anyway, we'll skip that whole part. Where was I at?
Basically,
1936.
if they did it, you hope they get kicked off the label.
Yeah, I hope they get kicked off their label. I hope they lose everything.
Yeah.
I hope they get destroyed. They don't deserve to have any success in any outfit, and they got to get the fuck out of metal.
For sure.
But if the allegations aren't true, I hope they get squared away. I'm not one to jump on one side or the other. I'll say this. Obviously, I explained at the top of the episode, I'm not with any type of sexual assault. If you're a predator,
No.
you got to stay out of anything I'm involved with, and I'll fucking chase you down with it. But, you know, there's got to be some procession. Now, if you know, a lot of people, I've disagreed with this several times. If you're like intoxicated to the point where you're incoherent, that's rape, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's what happened, then fuck them. I'm done with them. Not that I liked their music right now anyway, but fuck that shit. And I just want to say it's crazy. You know, people have been posting it on my wall because it's metal related, and we should speak on it. I'm ready to say fuck Decapitated and lead the fucking rally against them.
Yeah, I hope that we make sure that, I mean, I like that band at one point, man, so.
Hey, can we pause it? We had a goof and something happened. I'll just record that whole thing again.
Yeah.
So buddy moved his foot and pulled a cord. It might have just been my headphones, but I lost sound for
Yeah, it's this cord right here.
I lost sound for a while, so I don't know if it was just my headphones. It was 1936 over here.
Okay.
Chirp chirp.